Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you the summer edition of the postcard swap that I'm having all year long with three friends of mine from the Canvas Corp Brands design team. And we are sending each other a 4x6 background to finish, and then everyone makes a video of what they did with the backgrounds. So obviously today is the first official day of summer, and so today is the one that you'll be seeing. We've also had a spring one, which I will link in the description box below. Also, be sure to look down there for everyone else's videos so that you can see what they made or how they made the backgrounds that I'm showing you. So the first thing in this video that I'm showing you is how I made my background that I sent to everyone. Of course, I live in the desert, and in the summer it's hot, hot, hot. And I wanted to make a deserty type of background that they could finish in whatever way they wanted to. So the first thing I put on there is some white crackle paste from Deco Arts, because I thought, it gets really hot and dry here and the ground cracks, and I thought crackle paste would be ideal for this. Then I drew in some shapes of mountains and things with some of these silicone tipped sticks that are called doodle sticks. They're kind of for sculpting type stuff. And then I put on some glass bead gel for texture. And this is on a piece of packaging cardboard. I wanted something heavier that would really be able to hold up to all this medium that I'm putting on there. So I'm just messing around with it, trying to get it to be something that I like. I made 4 of these, and then I let them dry overnight. And then I started to apply some different mists from Tattered Angels, which is one of the Canvas Corp brands, you know, sub brands or whatever. And I've got some different colors: terracotta, sunshine, cowboy, a little bit of olive at the bottom, or maybe it's vine, I'm not sure. I can't remember all of them, but then dragonfly in the sky, and I've got some of this. I think it's called coffee bean or something, but I will look up all the mists that I used and link them to Canvas Corp Brands Tattered Angels so that you can find them. So I'm just applying colors and then spraying it with a little bit of water just till I can get kind of what I wanted: the red sandstone hills and the blue sky, and kind of a little bit of green in the front, maybe to represent grass or whatever. They're all a little bit different. Off they went to Switzerland, Finland, and Oklahoma, and these are the ones that I received in return. So the first one I'm working on is from Linda Israel. She has a channel and also a very large Facebook group called Friendly Junk Journal People, and she likes to make junk journals. So hers looks like a seascape to me. It's got sand in the front, some waves, sunshine, sky. So I decided that for a summer theme, you go to the beach and you build a sandcastle. So I had this scrap, and this is a thick, heavy piece of paper. I wish that it was a lot thinner, because heavy paper is not really great for collage, but it's one of the ones that I use to make my paper art dolls. So it's a heavy piece of watercolor paper that's been collaged with tan and brown and age type papers all over it. So it was perfect color for a sandcastle, but it was very thick and heavy. So I drew my sandcastle on there using a graphite pencil, white eraser combination, and cut it out. And then I'm using tacky glue to glue it on because, like I said, it's heavy paper. It stands out from the background because it's so thick and heavy. I wanted to make sure it really got on there, stuck down. I'm quite sure that Linda used a lot of the glazes and mists from Tattered Angels, and so I know that those can have a real slick surface, especially the glazes. And so I just wanted heavy glue to make sure that this thing was going to stick. So then after I had it on there and pressed down really well, I went in and added detail with a Pitt illustration pen, and this is the size small nib. It's the only one I used on all these projects. I just used the small on all three of them actually. The supplies list isn't very long for this because I basically use the same materials for all of them, but I'm just, drawing in all the details of my little sandcastle. And then I wanted to add a little bit of shimmer onto it because there's glitter and shimmer in the background. And so I wanted to make sure that I had some of that mica shimmer on my sandcastle as well. So I'm using craft colored and nougat colored glimmer mists to do shadows and the highlights on my sandcastle, trying to make it more dynamic and visually interesting. And then I did bring in the Precious Metals, which is a very, very shimmery one. It's got kind of a neutral base, but it's just got a lot of shimmer in it. Trying to really kick up the shimmer on this sandcastle. And then once it was dry, I did a little bit of coloring and detailing with some Pitt Artist brush pens. These are the ones that I have all different colors. They're India ink, so they're permanent when dry, and they're brush markers. And I really enjoy using these. I think these are my favorite of all the markers that I have, which is an extensive list. I also really like Posca pens, but they are a different animal. They're opaque as opposed to something that is fairly translucent like the Pitt pens. So then, speaking of Posca pens, in comes the white fine tip Posca, probably my most used pen of all time. I buy these in packs of 3 off of Amazon because I use it so much. Went in, added highlights, details, a little bit more color into some of the seashells, and pretty happy with that. Of course, I want some shading around the outside of my stuck-on thing because it definitely looks stuck on, especially since it's so thick. And so I use my Stabilo All Pencil and a water tank brush. This is the graphite one that's just gray. It's not black. I didn't want to go too harsh with it. So I use that to kind of draw in the shoreline as well, blending it and activating it with the water tank brush from Arteza. It's highly water reactive. These Stabilo All pencils are. So then I noticed that over in the upper right corner, it kind of looked like there was an island or something out there, or a different shoreline that you could see in the distance because of the way that one piece kind of, when she was scratching it on, she must have made it go up somehow. So it was kind of pointy. And so I thought I would just go ahead and make sure that there was a little island out there using the same materials. And I put a sticker on there that says From Sea to Shining Sea, which is out of the kind of summer section of my Tim Holtz chat stickers. So that was my first postcard completed, a combination of Linda Israel's background and my foreground. The next background, it was made by Lena Holmstrom, and of course make sure to look down in the box below to see the videos that all these girls made. This one, it looked like when I go to visit my friend, we drive down something called the Gorge, which is driving in between Pendleton in Eastern Oregon to Portland, and it's along the Columbia River. And we see eagles, bald eagles, and it's kind of a recent thing. They've really kind of come back in that area, and we've seen a lot of them. And this postcard reminded me of that, of seeing the bald eagles and being so impressed by their majestic look. I mean, they're just really awesome. So I decided that I wanted to put a bald eagle on here because, of course, also in the summer is America's Independence Day on July 4th, which also we are represented by the bald eagle. That's our national bird. So I thought that would be perfect for this summer card. Of course, this card came from Finland. She doesn't probably care about bald eagles, but that's not their bird. but I didn't care. It's my card now. So, and it really reminds me of the gorge. Like I can almost imagine that the Columbia River's over there, and then you can see the sky on the other side. So, um, I kind of just added a little bit of shadows and things using a black Stabilo all pencil and a water tank brush, just to kind of give that horizon line where the river might be flowing. And then I drew my eagle onto a piece of deli paper. This is also called dry waxed paper, or sandwich wrap. Um, it's a thin translucent paper that's so useful for so many things in mixed media, and it stands up to abuse. If I tried to do this on something like tissue paper, this technique, it would ruin it, because the moisture in my glue, even though I'm using a gel based glue, would still ruin tissue paper. So this technique really requires deli paper. You could probably get away with maybe parchment paper. I know that some of you who don't live in the United States have a little bit of trouble finding deli paper, but it's a fun thing to have. You can buy it on Amazon. I'm sure that Amazon UK and Amazon Europe or whatever probably has it too. You just have to find the right words to search. That's the tricky part. So what I'm doing is, after I drew my bird, which by the way, I really had to adjust his head and beak. He looked like a parrot. I was struggling with that, but I decided to do it later and just go ahead and do my collage. So I'm gluing on little teeny tiny pieces of paper. And of course, this is a small image. This is tricky and a little bit time consuming, but also fun. This is what I call paper painting. And I'm gluing all these little torn pieces of paper over my drawing on my deli paper. But then when I turn the deli paper over, I can see it from the back. I can see where I can cut it out from the back. So it's something that I developed a while ago that I like to do for making critters. It's easier than gluing the little pieces of paper to the actual substrate. And because the deli paper is so thin, nobody even knows it's there. So it works really well for this, and I'm putting the colors that I need in different places. And of course, his head needs to be white because he's a bald eagle, and his tail feathers are whites and grays, and then the main body is kind of a dark brown. I was looking at a reference picture when I did this project on my phone so that I could get the eagle correct, and I think I did a pretty okay job once I corrected his beak and head. They kind of have a flat head, sort of, and a very kind of scowly look, like their eyes very beady, like they're kind of like they're scowling at you. But tough bird. So then I put a sticker on there that says "Land of the Free, Home of the Brave." You know, that's an America thing. Lots of glue on there, and then I gave it a good dry. Then I'm going in with that same small bullet tipped pen and drawing back in the features of the eagle and correcting my weird parrot shaped head and beak that I had. Looked like a parrot. I couldn't figure out what the problem was. I had to study it for a while, you know. He's got to look fierce, not cute. So just a little bit of detailing, not a whole lot, not like illustrating all the way around everything, just adding some little sketchy lines here and there to bring out different features of the paper that I glued on there. And his eye is yellow, so I needed to put that in, and I touched up the beak a little bit while I was there. Then with my white Posca pen, adding some highlights where the sun would be shining off of his feathers, so you could see little, bits of lighter color, and just going around the words, and I'm pretty much done with that. I did come back in with a black Stabilo all and do some shading around the bird. That did not make it onto the video. So there's my second postcard of the collaboration. This third one is made by Bea Grobe, which is from Switzerland, and it looks like water to me. It has bubbles and it's the right color. And then I can see these kind of wispy shapes. It's kind of hard to see on the video, but they were in sort of a silvery color and also a bit textural. So I decided to take one of my Pitt Artist brush pens in a little bit darker color than the background and just draw around those shapes and blend a little bit. And they start to look to me like waving seaweed under the water. So then that of course prompts me to bring out the green pens, a couple different colors, and just blend some of that green in just to give it a little bit of hint of it being underwater seaweed. I'm not coloring in the whole thing, I'm just adding a little bit of color and blending it with my finger before it dries. Same thing with the bottom of the ocean or whatever this is. Adding in some golds and browns to make a sandy texture colored thing at the bottom so that you know that there's an end to this water. So then of course if there's water, there needs to be some bright tropical fish, because in the summer what's better than going snorkeling or scuba diving or floating in the water, and you might, let some of these little fish catch your eye. They're so cute and they're bright. And so I've got out my color boxes. These are recycled plastic boxes that cinnamon rolls come in, and I sort my scraps by color when I want to do some collage or paper painting. This is not paper painting, this is just using the collage to make an opaque bright color on there. If I wanted to paint the fish, I could, but I was running out of time. I felt like I needed to get this video done, and I wanted to have quick fish on there that I wouldn't have to paint some gesso and draw them and the whole thing. So I just drew the fish on the back of the scraps, cut them out, and then I have this green scrap of paper that I'm tearing and adding to my composition as well, letting it be behind the fish and also some of it in front of the fish so that it doesn't look like a background with some fish glued on the front of it. It looks more like the fish are interacting with the seaweed swimming in and among it, as they would, of course. So I am using Liquitex matte gel medium to do this, which is my favorite glue for collage, but as you can see, it's nearly empty. I am scraping the bottom of that. I really need a new one, so I'm going to have to get on Amazon and order that. So just continuing to think about where my fish should be. It's obviously an odd number, which is more pleasing to the eye, and if they should have some seaweed in front of them or behind them or whatever. It's just kind of, it's a process that is fun to do for me. I really like collage. So once this is done, I gave it a good dry and then I started adding some details. I'm starting out with the eyeballs because that's the most important part. I get out my Posca 8-pin set because Posca pens are opaque. They're an acrylic. So when you use them over a bright background, you still get the color that you're looking for. I'm also continuing to use my Faber-Castell Pitt pens, which are not opaque, but in the case of this yellow fish, I just needed it to be yellow and orange, so I could use the orange pen and let it, blend a little bit, and that was fine. I didn't have a dark background that I had to worry about. Same thing with the orange fish. I could just darken it up a little bit with the brush pen. So back and forth. I'm using also the Posca pins. I'm going to use them on the redfish. So if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and you might want to be interested in turning on your notification bell if you'd like to know when my videos come out pretty much every other day. A lot of people are not getting notified, so it would be great if you would turn on your notification bell. Also, don't forget to go down below the video and click on the links to visit the other ladies' videos about the postcards for the collaboration. Give them some love from me. subscribe to their channels, leave them comments. This type of way is how we build community of creative people who are creating on YouTube for free for you. If we are encouraged, we work harder. And there's nothing better than watching your channel grow in subscriptions and getting kind comments from people. So please do that for them so that they will be encouraged to work hard and make more fun videos for you. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye bye.